This morning around 9:30 a.m., Humboldt County Sheriff's Office vehicles and animal control were sighted near the base of Alder Point Road. The vehicles were then seen combing the area between Redway and Garberville. According to the Humboldt County Sheriff's Office, private property owners requested county assistance to deal with, quote, illegal camps on their land. The Sheriff's Department was accompanied by animal control, and multiple social service organizations sent information with the deputies, including free bus passes to help with the illegal camp endeavor, mission relocation information, drug and alcohol information, and financial aid information to assist the, quote, trespassers in their transportation needs. The Sheriff's Office said that trash bags are being provided, and the Eel River cleanup crew will help with the wrap-up effort this evening. KMUD News spoke to Brenda Godsey, Public Information Officer for the Humboldt County Sheriff's Office. Brenda explained the reason behind the Sheriff's efforts. What operation occurred down by Garberville today?
Well, it's ongoing. What happened was we received a number of complaints from the citizens in the community down in the Garberville area about ongoing trespass problem. So we put together a team of deputies and some of our animal control people and some folks, I think, even from the Park Service, to go out and contact some of these folks who are camping illegally on private property and let them know that they were, in fact, trespassing and that they were going to have to move along. So that started this morning. We went out and contacted them. We also provided some of these folks with information that was provided to us through social services. That information included information about relocation and housing, drug and alcohol treatment information, information about how to obtain financial aid, where missions were located, and even free bus passes for the Humboldt and Eureka Transit authorities.
Did you have eviction notices, or how does that work?
Well, eviction notices weren't necessary because they were illegally camping on private property. So we were contacted by the private property owners, and in fact, it was confirmed that those folks did not have permission to be camping on that property. So today was the first day of this operation, and we went out and contacted those folks who were camping illegally, and told them that they were going to need to move off of that property. So today was pretty much the initial contact, or the warning phase, if you will. So we contacted those folks, gave them a written notice that they were trespassing, took photographs so we could keep track of who had been warned and all of that, and let them know that we were going to be continuing with this tomorrow, Tuesday, and probably through Wednesday also, to let them know that they needed to be gone. I understand we made 2 arrests today for trespassing, and those 2 people had already been contacted previously. And chose to stay on that private property. So they were arrested for trespassing, and I think are going to be transported to jail a little bit later tonight.
Can you disclose who those people are?
I don't have their names.
There are some questions about how many properties this includes. Do you know that?
I don't know the exact number of parcels or properties. I know that they were going to start down at the old Osprey School near Highway 101, the southbound exit, and then work north along Redwood Drive area, to the Camp 31 Bridge near Dean Creek.
You have mentioned that the community would be involved in the cleanup effort. We want to talk about that?
Well, I don't know, the degree of cleanup. I know that we were, our team was out there and was going out with big garbage bags to allow those folks to remove their belongings, and also to tell them they needed to remove their trash also. Then the full trash bags were going to be allowed to be left at the trailheads along Redwood Drive, and then the Eel River cleanup crews were going to come along and remove them later. We also had a deputy whose job it was going to be to store the bigger items, bicycles and tents and large backpacks and things like that, that needed to be removed from that property also.
So they're confiscated?
Well, the folks are allowed to, of course, come and get them. They just are not allowed to be stored on that private property. So we had a mechanism in place whereby we could transport them off the property, and then the owners of those things could come and claim them.
At the correctional facility?
Probably at the Garberville station.
Is it going to encompass other areas or other properties? How will that work?
I'm not sure. This is the only information I have on this particular issue right now. This is the areas that I'm aware of that we're working on this week. So we're certainly interested in responding to the needs of the community and addressing those complaints that we've been receiving. So we'll see where this takes us.
Can you please explain how animal control fits into the situation?
Well, the sheriff's office is also in charge of the county animal control, and so recognizing that some of the illegal campers might be in possession of dogs or cats or whatever, we certainly want to be prepared to care for some of those animals if that need arises. So, for example, if somebody were to be arrested and they had a dog that needed to be cared for, we would then be prepared to take custody and care of that animal. But remember, though, too, that just because we're contacting them or asking them, to move off the property doesn't mean that we're taking their animal. Every time we're making a contact with an illegal camper doesn't equal that we are, taking an animal from them. Or just have the animal control people available should that scenario unfold. So we're just being prepared is all. So these people are in Soham and we don't have any buses. Should we expect these people to be hitchhiking north? I don't know. That's part of always the difficulty with a situation like this is trying to be sensitive to, certainly the needs of some of these folks who don't have a lot of resources, but also being, sensitive to the needs of a community, and a community that has made complaints to us about, the illegal campers, and when a crime is reported to us, we have an obligation to respond to that. And so, sometimes it's a tough situation, and one that law enforcement doesn't always have an obvious solution to, and that's might be what we're seeing here a little bit of, which is one of the reasons we did contact social services and to see what kind of resources they had available also. That was Brenda Godsey with the Humboldt County Sheriff's Office explaining today's raid on illegal camps on private property in southern Humboldt. KMUD News next spoke to a man who was awoken by Humboldt County Sheriff's officers this morning.
My name is Sean Crowley, and I got woken up this morning underneath Bear Gulch Bridge, which is on county property. Told by the police that I had 2 hours to get my stuff and get out, or I was going to jail. Told that if they find me sleeping anywhere again, I'm going to jail. And I was also told that they won't recognize the fact that I'm a contributing member of this community because I don't have a house. And, I put in hundreds of hours of volunteer time in this community. I work for 2 different businesses in town. I don't think they really have the right to tell me I'm not a contributing member. That's on top of the harassment. That's slander. 3 out of the 4 people they woke up down there today have jobs here in town.
When did this happen to you, and how many people approached you? Could you tell us
This was at about 9 o'clock this morning, between 9 and 9:30, and initially 2 officers came underneath the bridge, but within 5 minutes there were 6 sheriffs underneath the bridge to deal with 4 people who were asleep at the time.
And did they hand you any sort of eviction notice?
They handed a piece of paper to me, and it said that this is your warning, that you have been caught trespassing on private property, and that if we catch you trespassing anywhere again, that we're going to arrest you, and that you need to have your stuff gone or we're going to take it. Here, I can read it verbatim for you. It says, this is to advise you that you are trespassing on private property and you need to immediately pack up your personal property, pick up your garbage, and immediately leave the property. If you remain on the property or if you return, you are subject to arrest. If you fail to remove your personal property, it will be collected and stored for a limited time at the Humboldt County Sheriff's Office. And as far as I know, it says landowner or agent. It says County of Humboldt because I was on Humboldt County property instead of private property.
So that piece of paper does talk about people being on county property as well?
Well, no, it doesn't. It doesn't say county anywhere. It just says you are trespassing on private property. And as far as I knew, county property wasn't considered private property. I was actually recommended about 6 months ago by an officer to go sleep down there because they'd woke me up somewhere else that I was sleeping.
I heard from the sheriffs that this is going to go on for a couple days. So what do you see as a consequence to people around this area?
Well, as far as I know, I'm probably waking up getting arrested tomorrow, which is going to really mess me up because I have community service. I'm on probation in this county. I have court in a week and a half, and the only option, and they pretty much said the only option that we have is to leave or get a house. So, I'm looking forward to getting arrested in the morning for simply living outside. I want people to be aware. I understand that this community has had problems with the homeless and had problems with the hitchhikers and such that come through, but that every single person on this planet in this community is an individual, and that they shouldn't try to treat everybody in the same general way just because they resemble each other. I mean, I'd like to think that I have done and contributed greatly to this community by being here, and they're telling me and everybody else that just because I live outside that I'm not, and that I'm useless and a problem. And I think that that's something that people should really be aware of and think about, because, if after they're done with the homeless, who are they going to have problems with next? Poor people? I mean, this is group discrimination. They're not approaching any of us as individuals.
These illegal camps, so there has been some talk over the last couple of months about trash and everything. Do you feel like there's been a movement to change that situation, or?
Oh, I'd imagine so. I mean, the Eel River cleanup crew has picked up over 50,000 pounds of garbage off the riverbed and out of camps, and even he'll say that only a small percentage of it actually comes from the homeless camps. He's found refrigerators, all kinds of stuff that there's no way they could have possibly come from a homeless camp. I mean, yeah, trashed camps are an issue. I am proud to say, and I have people who will back this up in this community, my camp was never a problem. We picked up our trash every day and took our trash out of the camp and made sure it was disposed of properly. People are being encouraged to just look at it as a homeless problem. And, yeah, I may be homeless, but that does not make me any less of an individual. If somebody individually is causing a problem, then it should be handled. But you cannot discriminate against an entire class of people because a few have chosen to cause the problems. I mean, I wasn't told in the exact words, but the idea I got from them is if they catch me sleeping anywhere and I can't provide written proof that I have the right to sleep there, they're going to arrest me. I'm pretty sure that would fall under inhumane treatment because we do require sleep.
Community meetings are scheduled to discuss the current Humboldt County Sheriff's Office operation in southern Humboldt and collect testimony. The meetings are happening at the Mateo Meal Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at noon.
Like my family just dispersed and stopped talking to each other, and so that was probably the most contribution to my homelessness, is not having family that would help you. Well, yeah, I do in-home support services for people who can't take care of themselves. That's about it.
And your other half is working in town?
Yeah, he got a full-time $14 an hour plus medical, vision, and dental, and he's been working there for 2 months now. So that's good. And we got housing. If I didn't have the support that I have right now, I would probably be doing the same, be dodging the cops and looking over my shoulder every time I turn around, stressing out to the max on a daily basis, trying to find somewhere to go where the cops aren't going to screw with me or give me a ticket or steal my things and take me to Eureka and tell me I have to walk home. And in that time, I've found a job, housing, and endless amounts of just not only network support, people support, mental health support, support from friends, support from community members, support from just, there's all kinds of resources here that people don't even know about. So, in that time, I've not moved to Eureka. I did not take the officer's advice, and now I have a place and a job, and I'm soon getting a car. So the community is the most contributional area in this area that has helped me.
I'm a homeless advocate for years because when I wasn't homeless, I was helping out with homeless shelters and soup kitchens. And this one here's a nice one, but my sister and I help out over there, and they give us food and they feed us. And a lot of moral support, because a lot of people are in the same position as us, and so if we have a problem, they have a solution. If they have a problem, we have a solution, because we're all about street level, And it's easier talking than, you can't talk to professional people because they're professional. But people, you can just talk to people. Right. I just had a birthday. Yes, so I'm considered almost senior. Yeah, my tent and my bedroll And I just got my sister a sleeping bag. I moved here. And it took me every time I had, so I don't have the money to move in anywhere. So I have to wait till the first of the month. Really have enough money to get into housing, but I do know some really nice campgrounds. I don't mind camping until I can afford a house. I don't have any addiction problems. I don't drink. I don't smoke. Well, I smoke cigarettes, but I don't do drugs.
This is the answer that you're looking for, but the only thing I can say is the majority of the homeless people are the same as the majority of the working class people, the regular citizens. I grant you there are rotten ones out there, but there are rotten ones in good society too, and I use good in the quotes.
Often, I just think that it has to be done, we the people have to do it. Because we're not able to move the government to compassion. We've been trying to do that for the past 20 years. It has failed utterly. The government has failed utterly. Everybody needs is love.
Yeah.
And not everybody gets it.
Yeah.
Gray squirrel. Gray squirrel. It was hard luck. It was really hard luck. I hit a real stiff dead end, and that's why I'm here.
Okay, I'm Doug. You know, I guess we're talking about, you know, how it could happen to you, right? Pretty much, you know, and it's just like is one injury on job site.
Officer wanted my ID, so I gave him my Native American ID. He looked at it, laughed, tore it up. I've been here ever since.
You know, the professional property management, you know, had started evicting a whole list of people that they felt as though wasn't qualified to be on their written list and all, and you know, I ended up in a motel over that. Right now I'm kind of borderline streets, you know, it's kind of going week to week on the motel thing.
Hi, my name's Joe. I'm 43. I'm a cook by profession. I'm also a musician and a poet and a highly traveled person.
Not many people went out and tried reaching the traveling kids, you know. I turn my ministries towards the street people, you know, the travelers and transients.
Serenity. What we try to do is have a place where you're safe, where you have somebody to work with, like a social worker or one of the other agencies. We try to make you feel comfortable, and we try to get you back into the mainstream. Do we always succeed? No, but we give it our best. There is no time limit for how long you can stay here. The only thing we do is try to work with you. Now, what we offer is social work. You come to me and I try to resolve your problems. Some problems I cannot resolve because they're so complicated. What I try to do is to give you an agency that can help you. We try to place people in housing. Housing is very difficult to find, especially if you have little or no income. We have mobile medical that comes every Thursday, so we set them up with an appointment with the doctor if they need to see a doctor. When they come to me, I try to get them into an organization that can help them, whether it's detox, whether it's housing, whether it's a program to get them off of drugs or alcohol. I help them in whatever way I can. Some of the problems are simple, like I need a birth certificate. I don't know how to go about it because I was born overseas in the military. Sometimes it's just a simple thing like I need a bus ticket to get to my appointment. The more complicated ones, it takes time. How much time varies from question to question. People like to come here because we're alcohol and drug free. And that is one thing that we are very firm on. We want no alcohol, we want no drugs here. Are we successful all the time? Hell no. It is impossible to have 100% all the time. But it's one of those things you have to stay on top of constantly. The other big one we have is sex, bed hopping. That is immediate eviction if we find that you are staying with a female in a male dormitory or a female staying with a male in male dormitory. Those are the three things that we are on top of constantly. And we're friendly. It's a good position, it really is. It's wonderful when you're able to help somebody and you know success. However, sometimes you don't know success immediately. Somewhere down the road, whatever you did for them suddenly takes fire and works. I always think of this one instance when I was walking down the street getting into my car, and out of the corner of my eye I saw this man coming toward me, and I said to myself, I gotta get in the car. Well, I didn't make it into the car, and the guy said to me, Mr. Ingraham, I want to thank you. I don't know this man. I can't, you go through your mind immediately and nothing happens. So I said, well, thank you. What did I do? And he said, you helped me get a job. And I'm racking my brain. I said, well, when did I talk to you? He says, 1989. And I said, how long have you been working? He said, 2 weeks. Now this is 1996. And I said, that's nice. I said, have you been working since 89? And he said, no. He says, everything you told me suddenly clicked in. And I went out and I did exactly like you told me, and I got a job. You know, you plant a seed, somewhere down the road it works. There's not immediate satisfaction to everything you do in this job. Is a problem. You're mentally ill, nobody wants you. You have bad credit, you can't get anywhere. Rent, and we have very few low-cost housing in this area. Since January, I have probably not placed more than 15 people, which is good, but not very good, because there are so many obstacles to finding housing in Humboldt County. It's a little bit easier if you get out of Eureka. We take care of families, we take care of single men, and we take care of single women.
I see.
And then we have 3 rooms for SSI people.
I see. I see.
Some of our tenants are what I call the working poor.
Yeah.
You know, they make enough money to get by, but they don't make enough money to afford housing. I know everybody got a 50-cent pay raise because of Schwarzenegger, but so help me God, you know, you get a pay raise, bread goes up, milk goes up, and you're barely keeping ahead of the game. I often wonder why that we bother to give pay raises when invariably everything goes up. And now with today's economy and gas as it is, it's become another hurdle that we have to overcome. What do? Buy food, get gas. We only have 2 that are shelters. The Mission and the Serenity. The other one that's closest to it is Multiple Assistance Center.
The MAC Center. Yes, the MAC Center.
And that's not really a shelter, that's more of a program. That everybody wants some kind of ID for no matter what you do. If we have a physical or a mental case, physical you can understand because they have a hard time getting around. A mental case is more difficult because their memory is not good. They say they're supposed to be at some place on the 25th of the month. The 25th comes and they never go because the 25th is another day down the road someplace. You literally have to walk them through the procedure. HSU professor who murdered his wife, but he was high standing in the community, but he murdered his wife. Now, if one of my people were to murder their wife, it would be expected. They would think that is just part of that cultural group. And that always irritates me. There are bad ones on the good side, and there's bad ones on the bad side. And the other irritating part is we, the wonderful citizens that we are, judge people by their clothing.
Yeah.
You know, of course I'm a dress horse, I always have been. But I know I get much further dressed up than I would if I was looking like I'd just come off the street. And that's not fair. It's just not fair. Because many of those people are as nice as anybody could ever want. They just are in circumstances that they have no control over. And there are so many reasons for being homeless that yet everybody that I am aware of lumps them into no good, won't get a job. And I hate that phrase, if they'd only get a job. And that is not possible. And the way things are nowadays on the economy, it's harder to find a job. Assistance Center does their best to take care of veterans. We have a lot of ex-cons and a lot of working poor. So it varies. It's up and down, up and down.
Hey, I took a shower today.
All right.
All right, here we go. All right, this is called Homeless in America. Legends Unknown. That's what I call it. I became homeless due to my own excessive alcohol and my unwillingness to admit I was an alcoholic. I lived with homeless people for a time and learned the ways of life. These most times beautiful human beings. I also at one time considered homeless people as throwaways of society. I mean, after all, why couldn't they just get it like everyone else and go along with the system? You know, after all, there must be some way they could live on the system, welfare, SDI, SSI. There was no reason to be homeless in America. Wrong, wrong, wrong was I. Most that I talked to had tragic things happen to them in their lives. Be it addiction, loss of family, loss of self-worth, no jobs available, sincere mental problems never dealt with. Some actually chose this way of life as they became sick of the norm or society as shoved in their face and languished in the freedom of losing the chain, as I heard some I talked to. The chain, I must explain, is like how they had a chain of life. Okay? So, this land is your land, this land is my land, takes on a whole new meaning after learning from those of us who are considered less fortunate. This is mine, and their story. And I hope all will accept it for what it is.
Thank you, man. Amen.
Okay, I'm Doug
You're
McClure.
Doug.
Yeah.
You're Doug.
And I guess we're talking about how it could happen to you, right? Pretty much, and it's just like, okay, so we we're talking about, as somebody, I've traveled a lot, I've got an education, a degree in engineering from a accredited university in the South, and then lots of different work experience, and athletic all the way through youth. And then what happens is one injury on a job site. You don't have any roof over your head, and I did the first smartest thing. When I got to Eugene, I went to the Yellow Pages. I found the Salvation Army. I went to the Salvation Army. The Salvation Army told me where the mission was, and I went to the mission. And I do go to the community center at the Mutile for their lunches and have helped, clean up there, and what the idea is for me in this area is you want people to see you, but you don't want people to be like going, oh, he's still over there, or he's still standing there, or this and that. You want them to, if you can get to a place like the Mutile and spend 2 hours meeting people and talking to people, you never know when you get a job cutting grass or something. How it could happen to you is why we started this whole conversation, and you go, it's not a big deal, and you don't think it's a big deal, and then, next thing you know, you find yourself in one of these towns, and it's just like, Jesus Christ, all these people are homeless. These people have all lost their lives, their normal, everyday kitchen sink lives, and you get, and same thing here. When I got here, there was tens and dozens. We're here in the early spring. It's kind of not so bad now. The heat, I can't believe I'm not building fountains and waterfalls for some beautiful piece of property right now. But part of that, here we got to get into the truth of the matter is some of this conditioning has really wrecked me psychologically, I mean, I said, well, I'll pick up the trash if I'm sleeping somewhere, and I want to, and people start throwing trash around it, I'll pick it up because I think it's stupid to not be able to find a garbage can, I try not to, live anywhere at this point because I get attached to things real fast. I'm an emotional attachment to not wanting to have to leave, or oh God, this is beautiful, and if I could just move this, change this, and it looks real good, and what's happened so many times is just like it gets that way. It's like I've spent all my life trying to learn how to be able to wake up in the morning and wash my face, and really be comfortable, and I did that in that trailer, and as soon as I did it, it went away. As soon as I got my tent in Eugene where I could just reach and grab what I wanted, and cops came in and said, you gotta go, they came in with a bulldozer. It's just, I feel like everywhere I stop, I'm in that Douglas Adams book where I put my house right where they're building this interstellar freeway, I'm too tired at this point to move on. It requires about 180 pounds to make 2 or 3 days. You got to be able to carry the water and the food and the sleeping bag and the clean clothes. I mean, look, I look pretty clean, don't I?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm all right looking.
So, Doug, what does that food stamps end up to be a day that you can have to eat on?
About $5 a day.
$5 a day.
Yeah.
Officers wanted my ID, so I gave him my Native American ID. He looked at it, laughed, tore it up. I've been here ever since. He tore up 37 camps of mine, tents, sleeping bags, food, scattered my dog food around. Cops here have no sympathy for people that are homeless. If you're homeless, they don't want you in town. It's not even nice. If they see if you're homeless and you're walking with a group of 3 or 4 other homeless people, it is classified as a gang in this town. They will stop you, harass you, just to ask you questions. First of the month, I got harassed for not having her tags, and another officer more or more or less threatened to take her and put me in jail for because I did have the money for a fine. So I had to beg, borrow, get the money to get her tagged so I could come in town and take a shower. Well, I got showers here, breakfast and supper here, lunch over at St. Vincent's dining facility, and outside of the normal, food stamps and GR, that's it. And since I have dogs, I can't be housed, and if you are on GR, you're housed automatically, and you only get $92 a month. And out of $92 a month, 80 of it goes for dog food, and 12 of it goes to me, and then I sit out with a sign to get more dog food. For 15 years off and on, I was a certified chef. The campground in Manila, you can stay there for like 10 days at $15 a day. Then you can go over to small campground where if you don't have a vehicle, it's $3 a day, but you only can stay there for like a week and a half. So I tried getting jobs, even with my problems. I'm on my meds and that's helping. Right. But if you ain't got an address or a telephone, you're pretty well screwed. Yeah, there is quite a bit of discrimination from law enforcement on being homeless. Really? I've never gotten a citation yet. I've just had all my shit torn up.
Well, that's illegal too. If we had, some way of documenting it, I don't mean just our word, but the cops coming in.
The professional property management, had started evicting a whole list of people that they felt as though wasn't qualified to be on their written list and all, and I ended up in a motel over that. Right now I'm kind of borderline streets, it's kind of going week to week on the motel thing. Right now I work for St. Vincent de Paul part-time down there in the dining facility. Well, alcohol and smoking pot, okay, and it's letting me be living in some places that like different missions and stuff, and it's kind of let me go for different rehabs and everything. It's caused a little bit of problems. Yeah. Well, right now I have a roommate, and if it wasn't for the job I found over at St. Vincent de Paul, I'd really be in trouble.
Gray squirrel. Gray squirrel. It was hard luck. It was really hard luck. I hit a real stiff dead end, and that's why I'm here. Yeah, that and the house.
Lost your house.
Everything. But that's not what I was aiming for, I was basically trying to make things happen, and even though I lost the house and everything wasn't like there was an end to it, but it was a real dead end. Mm-hmm. I've only rented 2 houses before, and it's been maybe 9 to maybe 12, 13 months that I've actually lived inside on my own. Uh-huh. So, and I'm 43, and I just don't usually do that unless I'm with other people or feeling comfortable about living with other people and feeling safe or something. California? Streets of California are hot, man. Yeah. They are, man. I'm serious. There's cop watches and people keeping an eye on them too. So
good.
It's not like everybody's don't have anybody watching over them. I'm sure if I got out of control, yeah, I'd probably have to deal with it. Mm-hmm. I don't do that, so.
That's good.
I don't. I'm serious. I try to stay way low key and in the shadows and stuff. Get turned on to something. Oh, I've got a million skills. I'm still trying to get work, but the last time somebody asked me that, I wish I would have. It was in San Francisco, and these people rolled up on me with blankets and stuff. It was like the homeless Mission people or something, and I was downtown in that park off of Mission.
Uh-huh.
And they rolled up, what do you want? What do you really want out of life? And I'm and I felt really stupid because I probably could have got what I needed right then, but I had to grab the bus.
Hi, my name's Joe. I'm 43. I'm a cook by profession. I'm also a musician and a poet and a highly traveled person. And to me, I travel by whatever means is conducive for the situation and the circumstances. Whether it's hitchhiking, going by plane, busing it, or even getting your own personal transportation. Bicycle even, that's another option for me. But,
You're a vet, right, Joe?
Yes, I'm a vet. I'm a former vet also. And so I was in the Army, and like I say, the Army makes a good camper out of a person. And, so I love the outdoors. And I don't really consider myself on the streets. I'm more of a, I guess, a vagabond.
A vagabond.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I have all the means of, providing for myself as far as food, clothing, shelter. I carry all my provisions on me. I haven't worked since last year at the end of September when I was up in Alaska, and since then I've been traveling, actually. Yeah, and just now, lately, since I've been here in California, I just ran out of money, so I just had to minimize my means of getting somewhere, which pretty much has come down to hitchhiking. And I'm on my way up to Aurora to do some backcountry camping and all. And then I'm on my way to Florence, Oregon after that to go into Eugene to work at this festival that I've signed up for and all. I'm from Seattle, so I'm not, I guess, akin to the transient culture that's going on around here and everything. I must say though, like I said, I'm a highly traveled person, and a lot of the places that I've been to, I pretty much see homelessness wherever I go. And pretty much sad to see how the media and just society in general, the mainstream, treat it as a burden. Really, it can happen to anybody. Pretty much, like I was told one time that pretty much anybody is one step away from being homeless. And that's so true. What it is, to me, is it's not a burden, but it's, I guess you'd say it's just an issue that needs to be addressed instead of being ignored or criminalized, or like how some community, like I guess in this community they try to sweep it. I guess the best way to say it, they sweep it under the rug or try to be in denial about the issue and all. When really, it's like I said, it's everywhere and it needs to be addressed by the community, by the government. I mean, on all levels, really. And it's that lack of awareness by the community and the government of the whole issue that keeps it prevailing as it has. And I'd say if people in the upper echelons of the media and society would really like to learn about homelessness, they should, just as an experiment, as a social experiment on their part, just spend a few days out on the streets themselves and see how they would tackle the issue and realize just how the human level that there is in it. Because a lot of people in the service industry that like service towards the homeless crowd, a lot of times their sense of philanthropy escapes them. San Francisco, there was a very big lack of philanthropy, and they were treating the people there like almost like they weren't people. And to me, that's the core thing about it all. It's like these are people here. These are people with needs, with they're common, common
dreams and goals.
Yeah, and woes that every person goes through.
Absolutely.
And it might be at a level, you could say at its most basic level for some people, but it's still, like I said, these are still people that need, to get their resources also, whether it's food, shelter, clothing, in my case, getting a shower. I was sitting out in the town square just now playing harmonica, and one of her clientele here said, there's a feed going on, and I've got food and everything, but for me, just getting, extra calories from an outside source just means that the food I have can stretch a little bit longer.
Originally, I came out after the veterans stand down in Ferndale. I followed my vets out, And I'm a vet. I'm an Army medic vet. My partner is an Army nurse vet. And so we both were involved in the stand down the first year. This is our third year this year. And I noticed that some of my veterans were coming back out and didn't have any place to live. And so I started coming here to this spot to meet with the vets on Saturday. And we started a veterans dinner at one of the halls here. And we're trying to, but while I was coming out, I also found all my folks that are out here today. There's sometimes up to 100 people out here.
Yeah.
And so
allowing people to have space that is theirs, that they can feel comfortable in building back up their physical health, their mental faculties again, because living out in the elements drains people, makes them sick, creates all kinds of psychological traumas, and so they can't adjust to talking with people that are housed, you know, so they look strange and everything, but once they get settled and into a routine where they feel secure and they can start living a rhythm of life that is more natural, then they become healthier and they become more productive. They find themselves and hook into their own life purpose, you know, which we all have. All of us, if we are given the opportunity, have something to contribute to society. But when people have been as severely traumatized as the people that we see out on the streets, unless they are allowed to have space to heal and to have positive people around them that lift them, help to lift them up and help them to heal, they just steadily go down, which is why the life expectancy of a person on the street is 50 years rather than 75 years like a house person would have. And they're so sick. They get diseases like everybody else gets, and they can't overcome them. Their resistance is down, their mental strength isn't there to help to keep them going, so they succumb to their diseases. You know, I really think that the main thing that everybody needs is love.
Yeah.
And not everybody gets it.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of kindnesses, because when they first walked up, they kind of have this darkness about them. And then when they're talked to sweetly and they're given food, they start lighting up. And it's a wonderful thing to watch, which is why I love to feed people. I think feeding people is a blessed event. You know, it's one of those things that connects us with another human being. I just think that it has to be done. We, the people, have to do it, because we're not able to move the government to compassion. We've been trying to do that for the past 20 years. It has failed utterly. The government has failed utterly. The people are no longer able to gain any ground with them. The biggest push here is to get all the homeless on psychotropic drugs. Mental health is actually working to go out to these camps, get people to Simpervirans for the 72 hours, evaluate them, and put them on a drug. I started as a homeless teenager in Haight-Ashbury in San Francisco. I have hitchhiked up and down the West Coast and back east, and did that with my husband. My husband was in and out of prisons. We had 4 children, so I was a single mom. But he got caught up in drugs and alcohol, and it was behavior. It wasn't really major crimes or anything. It was just his behavior. He would get paroled and then get a dirty urine and get back in prison. And so I and I was clean and sober, and so I was seeing this whole thing happening and unfolding in front of me. While I was raising my kids, becoming a Christian, I just became more and more convinced that having been on the streets myself and seen my husband go through what he went through, being in the drug scene, getting out of the drug scene, and having children, I felt responsible to my children and my grandchildren to help and try and do what I could to make a difference, to
Sure.
make things change and bring
Sure.
awareness to people and bring about the love, you know,
Yeah.
and peace that I have experienced in my life from people being good to me when I was on the street.
Sure.
So all the good things that anybody's ever done for me, I try to give back
Yeah,
to
pay it
someone else.
forward, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely. Otherwise,
Right.
you know, what good is it?
Right.
I mean, if it just helps me, you know, so then I started doing that. I started just volunteering at food banks and the difference between the people who choose to be homeless and how people perceive that in the community.
Mm-hmm.
Because actually, when people choose to be homeless, they are realizing they don't have a choice. Not really.
Right.
And so in order for them to feel as if they have some control in their life, they choose the life that
They embrace it.
yeah, they embrace it.
Yeah.
Because it's better to do that than to walk around feeling like you've been forced to do this horrible thing. So they make a lifestyle of it for themselves. People in the community don't understand that.
So hatred and death is one option, and the other option is generosity, goodness, kindness, and compassion, thank you. Compassion. And love. Okay, so guess it's within each one of us in our community, but there's some
Each
new law.
individual has it.
There's some new law, it's called Senate Bill 2, and it talks about that each community has to have designated zoning that permits shelters and transitional housing that accommodate the number of people that were deemed homeless during a census that was taken earlier this year.
I started traveling at a younger age just because the thought of traveling just enticed me. And throughout my years of traveling, I just noticed that, all the travelers and whatnot, so many of them, they're searching for, I don't know what they're searching for. They're searching for, just better times, better people, or, I guess the grass is always greener on the other side of the pasture, they always thought, or something. But went out and tried reaching the traveling kids, Not many people, I turned my ministries towards the street people, the travelers and transients. I met many of them when I was younger. I traveled for a while, traveled around the country just, to see the world. I met the different groups of, travelers, transients, home bums, train hoppers, whatever different, kids there were, whatever. I mean, there's different categories and groups. There's, as many categories and groups as there is of people who live in homes, I guess, different types of music or whatever. But, I was ministering up in northern Wisconsin. I was ministering to a lot of people, and a lot of people that just didn't want to hear the word, and they just didn't. That a lot of it just. I felt like a lot of people. They just didn't want to hear. They didn't want to know. And through my years of traveling, I met a lot of these kids, and they were searching. They're seeking, for any spiritual, religious. They're searching, seeking for anything. They don't care what they're searching or seeking for, as long as they can look for it, find it, and they're just, and so I'm out there to tell these kids, hey, somebody loves you, somebody cares for you, and, it's Jesus Christ, that's who it is. I'm not going to shove it down your throat. So, I put on my body so people can come to me, and, if they want to talk about Christ, they can look at me and they can see I'm a disciple of Christ. I'm freed from Lucifer, I want to raise hell, I want to destroy it. So, these people, they need somebody to teach them and show them, and they need people to, who are like them, I guess, and, I'm not wearing a suit and tie, so, the kids just feel like they can come and talk to me easier, and, I have traveled for the years, you know, a couple years running a food kitchen for them, and then I traveled, you know, just for years on my own, you know, just running around the world, just doing my thing. And well, there's different types of camps, you know.
No, your camp.
You know, well, there's different type of camp, like when I had my
the one you got right now.
The camp I have right now, there's not much to tell about the camp I got right now, dude. I don't want anything with that right now.
Okay. Okay, what about, have you been harassed by police? Have you been harassed?
The police have been really nice to me. I can't say anything with that.
Okay.
They've been pretty good to me.
Okay,
Yeah,
and then,
so you don't want
what about the homeless situation?
What, the homeless situation?
Yep, the homelessness situation.
You know, I don't really think we have too much of a I mean, the homeless, there's always going to be homeless. People love to be homeless. Some people don't want to be homeless. They're in a situation. Some people, that's just what it is. It's not a situation. I think, you know, just how the people who aren't homeless, they have the police that live in homes and govern themselves to do their things. I think the homeless need to do the same thing. They need to govern themselves. And if they get out of a situation and they can't govern themselves and do their things, then they need outside help. You know, you can't govern yourself, your own city police, your own town. The federal government comes in and they take over, they govern you, whatever. You know, I think the homeless they need to act up and start governing themselves like they used to. They used to be, you know, people used to live by code of morals and, you know, rules, and people don't live by code of morals and rules in general anymore. It doesn't matter if they're homeless, it doesn't matter if they're millionaires, or it don't matter. People don't have morals or rules anymore. And that's what it boils down to, the whole problem situation.
Hi, my name's Kevin, and I used to be homeless. My parents got killed in a plane crash in 1974, and it led me to my years and years of addiction. And I got clean about 12 years ago, and 15 years ago, one of the community members took me into their home and got me on my road to sobriety. And if it wasn't for the kindness of this community and just regular folks, I would probably be dead. So there is hope, and you just have to reach out, open your hands and your heart to people who are less fortunate than we are. Amen.